Should you cash out your 401k when you're leaving your job? Well, that might not be the best option for you. In this video, I'm going to talk about what the negatives of cashing that 401k out when you leave a job might be and what some better options that you should consider are. Welcome back. This is episode 161. In this episode, I want to talk about an article I recently read in the Hartford Business Review that found that 41% of people changing jobs cashed out their retirement plan. So I want to discuss whether or not that might be a bad idea for you and other options you have with your retirement savings anytime that you're leaving a job. And as a reminder, if you can subscribe to this YouTube channel, I would greatly appreciate it. For those of you listening, if you could head over to YouTube and you could search Retire with Ryan podcast. If you could then check out my videos and other podcasts, that would be greatly appreciated. And if you also could subscribe, that would help me to grow the YouTube channel and also the podcast. So statistically, you will change jobs several times before retiring. In fact, a recent survey estimated that 30% of Americans changed jobs in 2022 alone. This was according to Pew Research Associates. And many times when you're changing a job, it's for higher pay, which is excellent. But however, every time you're changing a job, this can be hazardous to your ability to retire and live the lifestyle that you want to live if you don't manage your retirement savings properly. And too many people are cashing in their 401ks and other retirement plans when they leave a job, and employers are doing little to prevent it. And much of this information comes from the article I referenced earlier, which I'll put a link in the notes below. And if you want to find the link, if you're listening, you can also head over to retirewithryan.com/podcast/161 for episode 161. So according to data from Vanguard from 2021, the median 401k for somebody 55 to 65 years of age was $89,716. Now, this is hardly enough money to retire on, and for many middle-income Americans, this would probably last you no more than maybe 5 years. And even when you combine that with partner retirement savings, your spouse or your partner, and Social Security, that's probably not enough. So when you cash out your retirement plan, you're paying taxes on that money and possibly also a 10% extra penalty if you're under age 59 and a half. So this could add up quickly to wiping out 40 to 50% of your balance that you're cashing out between taxes and penalties. And once you spend it, it's gone. So you want to be very careful about how you're managing this money anytime you leave a job. And as the article references, the U.S. is one of the only developed countries that allows such easy access to retirement plans. In many other developed countries, you can't actually access your retirement funds until retirement. And to actually access it, you must demonstrate a significant financial hardship to access it. So what are your other options besides cashing the money in or cashing it out, as you could say, when you leave a retirement plan or when you leave a job? So one is you can leave it in the plan. If you have more than $1,000, many retirement plans will allow you to leave your account there. And if you're happy with the investment options, you don't want another account to monitor, this can be perfectly fine. The next option is that you can roll it over to a new plan. So let's say you are leaving a job for higher pay, and now that new plan new company has a retirement plan. If that plan allows it, you could roll that money over to the plan. The positives of doing that is it allows you to consolidate your money into one place. It allows you to be able to have less accounts to manage. There are some positives with that, but there are also some negatives. So if you want to learn more about rolling over a 401k, you should head over and listen to episode 140, where you can learn more about 4 things you should consider every time you roll over a 401k or considering doing it. And then the last option is that if you have an individual retirement account or a Roth IRA, if this is after-tax money, you could roll it over to that account as well. Again, the benefits of that could be consolidation, could be access to better investment options, a lot of things that you can do. But any of these 3 options would definitely be better than cashing the money in because of the fact that you're paying potentially a 10% penalty and you're paying income tax. So why are so many people actually cashing in their plans despite these better options? Well, the article mentions a few reasons. One, as I mentioned earlier about $1,000 balance, a lot of plans are allowed to actually cash your plan out automatically and send you a check if you have a balance under $1,000. Now, why do they do this? Because it helps plans save costs. Obviously, every retirement plan has to pay costs for record keeping and administration, and the less accounts they're administering, the lower those costs. So if they cash out the small accounts, this helps them, but it doesn't really help the employee or the investor. So if companies stop this practice, this could help. That way, if you get a check for a 401k, if it's cashed out, probably one of your initial instincts is to deposit that check. Another option you have is that if you had another retirement plan, or you had an IRA, or you opened an IRA, you can deposit that check within 60 days and now it's not taxable to you. But the very act of getting a check for a lot of people means that, hey, I'm going to cash this check because I've got the check, it's easy to do. So stopping that practice can be helpful. They also can change the process based upon people that have $1,000 to $5,000. Generally, these people only receive a couple options. They can either roll it over to an IRA or transfer it to another plan. A lot of times these plans aren't encouraging people to leave these balances, although they many times can. And then people with balances of greater than $5,000 are often given all four options, but the form letters that go out that people receive put a lot of emphasis on cashing it out. So that is something that employers could do to change those forms or change how they look to make people less likely to cash that in. And the study also finds that when people have contributed very little into their plans, when the employer is the one contributing the majority of the money, these people are more likely to cash in their plan because they kind of look at it as not their money. It was the employer that contributed the money. They look at it like house money, right? If you've ever gone to the casino, right, you're playing with the house's money. It's their money, so they're cashing it in. So these are reasons that kind of go into why people are cashing in their plans. So how can employers help their departing employees? Well, one thing, a relatively new change, the Secure Act 2.0 is some legislation that came out that tries to improve retirement savings. And one thing is that employers can now set aside $2,500 a year per employee for emergency expenditures without raiding retirement funds. So if employers were to set this money aside and then encourage their employees to use this money instead of their retirement plans, that could help. They could offer financial counseling through their retirement plan providers. So the big retirement plan providers like Vanguard, Fidelity, Empower, generally they don't offer advice. If you've ever called up their hotlines, I have with some of my clients to help process transactions. But if they were more often to provide advice and maybe even counseling about what people should do with their money and, ask some questions about how they can help them better, they could then maybe encourage people to not actually take this money out and cash it in. Because when people are working, it's much less likely that they access their retirement plans early, whether that be through 401k loans or just early withdrawals. But the odds go up significantly when people actually leave a job. Another thing they could do is they could pay for counseling sessions with financial planners like myself, independent financial planners who are separate from these retirement plan providers, to also help people get advice and counsel on what to best do anytime they lose a job and how to best handle their retirement savings. They also could automatically stop cashing these $1,000 balances or smaller automatically, cashing those in. And they could work with a new thing that I've mentioned in past episodes called the Retirement Clearinghouse, which is designed to help people who have left jobs to be able to track them down with their old 401k balances. They could work with them to help people maintain these accounts. So hopefully this problem is solved without government intervention, because as the article mentions, some countries have mandated practices that every company has to follow the exact same process and procedure, such as Australia, and that might not be the best solution for us here in the US. So what should you as the listener do? Well, I think you probably realize you shouldn't be cashing in an old retirement plan. You want to do everything you can to avoid that right? Cutting back expenses if you lose a job, trying to find work, even if it be part-time work, doing whatever you can to have income coming in. So if you're not yet ready to retire, you leave your money invested and leave it working for you and don't pay this unnecessary tax. You also want to encourage your children, grandchildren, friends, or family, anybody who's lost a job, to try to avoid as much as possible, work as hard as they can to not cash that money in, because even though it probably doesn't seem like it, when they cash it in, it's really going to be detrimental to their long-term success, right? And third, if you have any old retirement plans out there, now can be a great time to review them, to go back and listen to episode 140 about 4 things you should know before you do a 401k rollover, to understand what's best for you with those old retirement plans. Should you leave them where they are? Should you roll them to your new employer's plan? Or maybe opening up an IRA with a discount broker that I've recommended, like Charles Schwab, Fidelity, right, or Vanguard. Maybe that makes more sense for you. And maybe even it's time to get the help of a financial planner. As I always say, a fee-only financial planner to really help you evaluate what you have and come up with the best plan for retirement. So I hope this episode was helpful. As always, if you have a listener question, head over to retirewithryan.com. You can leave your listener question, and please subscribe to this video or head over to YouTube and subscribe if you haven't. Have a great week, and I look forward to talking with you next Wednesday. Take care.